Hey everyone, and welcome to Cartoon Flashback HD. And I want to give thanks once again. I know it sounds like it's a pattern lately, but to Rob from Planet Rob of Rob the Wonderful on YouTube. He recently re-uploaded a video that he had posted originally back in 2012 that you could find at Daily Motion, and that is his review of a 1980s cartoon series called KIDD Video. That's right, KIDD Video. Now, for some of you that may not know what KIDD Video is, unless you've watched Rob or anybody else's review on it, it was basically NBC's answer to the MTV craze at the time. You got to remember, about 4 years prior to that, MTV launched as a cable network and became a huge hit. MTV, as far as music goes, dominated the 80s. No matter what time you tuned it in, there was a music video, mostly music videos. Nowadays, though, well, MTV, in the eyes of a lot of people, is a shell of its former self. True, you could say MTV2 and maybe MTV3, or MT3 as they call it, try to bring back what made it what it is, but that's not entirely the case anymore. MTV is basically, like I say, the original MTV is a shell of its former self. The only music channel that tries to keep things going is Music Choice and VH1 Classic. Those are the only ones. VH1 and Music Choice are the only ones. Well, VH1 Classic and Music Choice and a few others are the only ones, mostly on demand and sometimes mostly on the weekends with early morning stuff, that try to keep the music video genre going. But back in the day, though, like I said, MTV dominated. I mean, heck, my sisters would love to watch MTV. It's almost like every other day they would watch it just to see one of their favorite artists' music videos. My older sister was a big Janet Jackson fan, so of course she wanted to see Janet Jackson. You know, my second older sister got into Prince. Both of them got into Paula Abdul, Whitney Houston. Any new artist that was out that they liked, even new kids, they would tune into MTV to watch their music videos. But with that said, KIDD Video was basically, as even Rob put it in his review, MTV's 22 to 30-minute answer to MTV. Now, the question about KIDD Video is, would something like that fly nowadays? Well, if shows like Regular Show can play songs from the 80s and stuff during certain episodes of their series, and there are others that do the same thing, it possibly could fly. I mean, like I said, if something like Regular Show could play different 80s music and even early 90s music during certain episodes of their series, then yeah, something like KIDD Video could probably work today, but probably not. Hear me out. You see, nowadays, because we got things like the DCMA and whatever you want to call it, all these different copyright restrictions and laws and stuff out there, even if it was a Cartoon Network exclusive or a Netflix, okay. Now what I'm saying is, even if it was a Cartoon Network exclusive or a Netflix exclusive or a Hulu Plus exclusive, there would be trouble up the yin-yang. I'm not joking. If Netflix was to try to make it an exclusive, there'd be trouble for them. Hulu Plus, same thing. Amazon, same thing. VDU, same thing. YouTube, specifically, let's not even go there. But it doesn't matter what streaming network or cable network would try to go for it. because whoever would try to go for it would fail in the long run. Now, I'm not saying it couldn't happen today. Like like Rob said, regular show proved that you could play the songs that you licensed for that, but you can't do what Kid Video did. Or could you? You see, that's the one thing that made Kid Video unique. Even though I don't remember watching it very much, I'm pretty sure my sisters did. I'm pretty sure my sisters watched Kid Video, and maybe I watched it with them as well. I can't really remember. I have to watch a little bit more of it to kind of see if anything triggers in my mind of memories to see if I recall watching it. I may have with my sisters, but that's about it. But the concept is unique. You see, back then in the 1980s, not everybody had cable. I know that's hard to believe, but cable was sort of a kind of a new thing. So nobody really had many of the cable channels they wanted or could even afford cable. My family and I were, well, one of the fortunate ones that could just, that got cable. We were fortunate enough to afford it, but we couldn't afford the premium stuff. We couldn't afford having all the premium channels on and all that. So we didn't get everything. So we didn't get certain premium channels like HBO for a while or Showtime or whatever. But we could get the Disney Channel, and that was a premium channel at the time, and I think MTV was part of its packaging. Whatever it was, we were able to watch MTV. But like I said, not many people could afford cable, and even if they could afford cable, they could just get they basically were only able to afford the basic package. Basically the regular stations, their the free over the air cable channels, stuff like that. That's the only kind of package many could afford. MTV, being about 4 or 5 years old at this time, I think was still primarily part of a premium package. So not many people could watch MTV. And NBC's answer with Kid Video was, okay, we'll show maybe a minute or two of a music video that if you want to watch, you could watch fully on MTV. So we'll give maybe a snippet or two of a music video, maybe 2-3 minutes. Well, maybe I'd say about a minute. I'd say a minute and a half to 2.5 minutes, almost of a video, to kind of give you an idea of what it was, so that in a sense you might consider getting cable, or you might consider upgrading your package. And that's one thing NBC didn't even know they were doing with Kid Video, or Dick Entertainment. Yeah, Dick Entertainment was in charge of this, and either NBC didn't know or Dick Entertainment didn't know that they were basically advertising for people to go out, for families and people to go out and upgrade to a more premium service so they could watch these full music videos, from beginning to end instead of getting these snippets. That's basically what Kid Video was. It was a good concept. Good concept no matter what. I mean, a good concept no matter how you look at it. And obviously was a huge hit in Israel and several other places. I mean, yeah, the cartoon was a huge hit here. It lasted for about 2 seasons on NBC, then the rights got bought by CBS to be aired on their Saturday morning lineup before hitting syndication, I think around the same time or later after. But still, NBC had a decent hit on their hands. Decent enough that in places like Israel and other parts of the world, Kid Video, which actually was a group of kids, actors, and maybe even both actors and singers, were put together as a band, not only to basically they were put together as a band specifically for this series. But what happened, like I said, in places like Israel and elsewhere, the band specifically made for this series became such a big hit that they ended up releasing a record. Yeah, in Israel and several other areas, they released a record of their songs. Now, most of the songs you can find maybe at the KIDD Video Flipside website. I believe that's what it's called. Let me check. Yeah, it's at kvflipside.org. You can find a lot of the songs, I believe, in MP3 format that you might have gotten on the album and that were performed by KIDD Video after the show. Yeah, some of the songs that KIDD Video sung in the music videos that took place after the story was done, after the cartoon was done, they were done in live action. Don't get me wrong. They were done in live action. Because I know some of you are going to ask, well, was it animated? Well, it should be live action if it was a music video. Yeah, don't get me wrong. It was a music video. But point being, they were always done at the end of an episode. And some of the songs, as Rob at Planet Rob pointed out, were integrated into, integrated into the series. Certain scenes, like chase scenes and other kind of scenes, would play one song that related to them. Some others would play another song. And these, again, were songs that you could find on the album that was sold in Israel exclusively and other areas. But now you get the MP3s, I believe, on the KV Flipside's website. You could get there, and mainly they were the songs played in the music videos. But the one other thing about KIDD Video that basically was the selling point for it was the fact that, like I said, it was an alternate place, an easier place for fans of certain musical artists to see the music videos. Yeah. It was a place for them to go see the music videos, even if it was small, a minute and a half, 2 minutes, minute and a half to almost 3 minute long videos, if not the full thing. Let me point that out. I think sometimes it might be the full thing. And you think, well, how can they do that? How can they show the full video in the middle of a cartoon series? Well, like I said, that's where the whole minute and a half to maybe 2.5 minute snippets of that video come into play. Because yes, I do believe some clips were the full video. I'm not totally sure. But I believe they may have done that at times. But most of the time, it was just like a minute and a half to 2.5 minutes of the music video. That was about it. It was nothing else. And I will agree with Rob on one thing. Sometimes they would come out of nowhere. Sometimes they would appear for no reason, only to promote the artist and the song. That's the only reason they were there. Sometimes they would have to do with, they would sometimes be a center plot of the story. Sometimes they would be a part of the story. You know, sometimes they'd be a central part. Like I think the first episode dealt with Lionel Richie supposedly being kidnapped by the copycats and Master Blaster. Now, that was the unique thing. That was the other thing that I guess made this series interesting back in 1984 to 85. The fact that the main villain, called Master Blaster, wanted all the music in the world to himself. So his first attempt was KIDD Video. That failed thanks to the fairy character of Glitter. That's right, Glitter was the character that saved them. She's the one that saved them from being Master Blaster's slaves. And what's unique about Glitter, and I didn't know about this, all I knew about when I read up on KIDD Video was she would sneeze and something would happen. That was basically one of her strengths, is her sneezes would cause something to happen. Well, what I found out, thanks to Rob again, was her sneezes caused her to temporarily get super strength. I'm not joking. It would cause her to temporarily get super strength to help her friends out or help when needed. Now, like I said, the first episode basically, I think, dealt with them trying to save Lionel Richie. Or so you thought. Basically, we find out, I think, in the first episode that this whole, oh, they kidnapped Lionel Richie kind of deal was nothing more than a way to, like I said earlier, promote the music video for the artist and for the song that was a hit at the time. I'm not joking. I am not joking. You see, one thing that Rob and any other reviewer of the series has said is this was nothing more than a cop out, as I mentioned earlier. Basically, like I said, it was a promotional way to promote the videos so that, in a sense, you'd have no choice but to get MTV through a premium package, even if it included Disney Channel or HBO. So just so you can watch the full-length music videos. Now I know at that time and even today, somewhat today, there are syndicated over-the-air programs that air the music videos late at night. So, and mostly on the weekends. So if you're a young kid or a young teen that's into these certain artists and you see snippets of these videos on Kid Video, then you're going to want to stay up late to watch that music video, stay up late for at least 1 hour to watch that music video series, to watch a block, a 1 hour, maybe an hour and a half, or mostly 1 hour block of music videos to see if maybe that video you saw in Kid Video will show up in full length. That's basically what it was. And I don't know if Dick Entertainment knew that's what they were doing, or NBC knew that's what was going on, or even CBS did. But basically, that's what this was. It was basically a promotional tool, not just to get maybe Kid Video over as an actual band, to get Kid Video to get Kid Video over as an actual band, but to also promote these artists and their music videos and their hit songs at the time. Some people may not see it that way, but that's basically what it was. Now, again, like I said, the biggest cop-out, according to Rob of Planet Rob and maybe several others, was the fact that when an artist was so-called stolen or kidnapped and taken hostage, it was not really the artist. It was the music video. And the reason that artist would be kidnapped or stolen was so that the Master Blaster's own brand, the copycats, can rip them off, basically copy them, pantomime, if you will, to the song. So, yeah, that was basically the plot of it sometimes. Now, was this show unique? In a sense, yes. It was very unique. I mean, you have the characters right in the intro acknowledge that they came from live action and now they're cartoons. So basically, they're now acknowledging they're in a world where anything that happens in cartoons can now happen to them. And there are several examples of this. Several. Two main ones that are showcased one main one that's showcased, like I said, one main one that's showcased in Rob's review is towards, I don't know if it's in the first season or second season, but basically all the characters, well, except for Kid Video and Ash, except for Kid and Ash, most of the characters, like I said, except for Kid and Ash and even Glitter, are turned into babies thanks to Master Blaster and the Copycats, or as they're known in this episode, Master Blaster Brat and the Copy Kittens. Why? Because the Copycats try to celebrate Master Blaster's birthday by giving him a cake, which he and I think his second in command or his sidekick delve into, kind of take a bite out of. But one of the ingredients that the Copycats put in there is some kind of powder or something that reduces the person back to a baby, or at least to a toddler. So yeah, you can kind of see where this is going, right? Basically, Wiz and Carla are the only members of the Kid Video band that are turned into babies, and Glitter basically has to babysit them while Kid and Ash go and try to find the antidote oat or something to restore them, or basically go to the to another being who actually takes a liking to them and who doesn't who tries to capture them first because she doesn't take a liking to them, but then when they start singing and or something happens with Ash, thankfully I guess she ends up taking a liking to them. But they basically got to get a wand from her so that they could restore things. Well, long story short, that's what they do. They end up getting the wand and they restore things. They restore everybody back to normal age. And basically, Glitter, I guess according to the information, realizes that babysitting is not that easy and basically almost drives her nuts, if you will. But yeah, like I said, they realize that now that they're in a world with the cartoons, that basically anything that they've seen happen in cartoons can now happen to them. Just like I said, with the whole being turned in with Carla and Wiz, along with all the other characters except for Ash and Kid and Glitter being turned into babies. And then I think the third or fourth to last, I think the fourth to last episode in the series, you have Carla and Ash get turned into plants. Yeah. Carla basically, long story short, Carla basically gets her feelings hurt, finds this flower, that the copycats were going to try to sneak on board or something of sneak on board the bus or the ship of Kid Video. And basically what this flower is basically some kind of being that once it emits a spray, turns whoever's around it into a plant. So Carla, of course, is the first one to get hit, and she turns into a rose with her face still there. Ash, he tries to come to her aid, he gets turned into a cactus. So basically, of course, with any kind of story like this, the remaining heroes have a limited time, or have limited time to try to restore their friends, or their friends will be remain that way forever. Now, what's interesting about Carla is she remains kind of silent at first. You know, she doesn't really talk. It's like she's totally plant now, except for the face. And, you know, her eyes do open, like, you know, wondering what happened, but that's about it. She basically is in plant mode, almost. So, like I said, long story short, it's that typical, you got to race against time to restore your friends, or they get stuck like that, stuck a certain way forever. Well, as you know, predictably, they end up getting what they need, an antidote from Master Blaster. They have to infiltrate Master Blaster's ship, get the antidote, and thus they're able to restore their friends to normal. And how do they restore them to normal? By basically blasting the plant that caused them to turn into plants. Yeah, that's how they do it. But again, that's basically some of the uniqueness that came with this series. Basically, that they did acknowledge they were cartoons now, and I guess in a sense acknowledge that being in a cartoon world, what happened in cartoons can happen to them. Now, there were several episodes, first season and second season, where it focused on them possibly getting back home. In other words, they would have opportunities to get back home, but then they would end up staying. I think the last episode of the first season actually saw Ash get sent back home, but then I guess had to come back to save his friends or something. And again, there's another one in the second season called A Friend in Need, and basically they have a chance to go home, but they have, again, a race against time to try to make it happen. But unfortunately, this is one race they don't win, and they end up not being able to go home. So, yeah, it did have a bit of a plot to it when it would be consistent with the plot. And that plot basically was Kid Video wanted to get back home. They wanted to get back to the real world, but they couldn't. Every chance they would have, they couldn't do it. Now, like I said, this series overall had its own unique situation. You know, the episodes at times could be a little confusing. Sometimes it make you go, WTF? What the heck am I seeing? It had its own. I would say, yeah, using the same word again. It had its own uniqueness. Had its own uniqueness, and what can I say? It's one of those cartoon series, live action cartoon series. You just have to watch to see to believe. You just have to watch and see to believe, because even though I may have watched it as a kid with my sisters, I'm not really sure. Even I, looking back on it, still can't believe what we saw. And to know that basically, in a sense, whether Dick Entertainment knew about this, or NBC knew about this, or both did or did not, they were basically a kid video for the time it was on, when it was on NBC, then on CBS, on NBC and then on CBS. Again, I don't know if they knew at that time between. Hold on, let me see here. Yeah, CBS picked up the show in 1987. I think ran it for another year or so. I'm not really sure. But from 85 from basically its initial 2-season run to its rerun run up till 87, and then I think up to 88, 89. Again, I don't know if NBC, then later on CBS, and maybe even some of the syndicated networks knew about it, and Dick knew about it, or they didn't. But basically, they were just a promotional tool. Yes, it was a nice concept. Yes, it was nice that you were able to create an actual band out of this that surprisingly became a huge hit. And of all places, Israel, and the rest of the Mideast and several other parts of the world. It was nice to know that there was some kind of positive that came out for the band that was created. But still, this was nothing more than, like I said, a promotional tool when you look at it. It was nothing more than a promotional tool for music videos, and in a sense, a promotional tool for things like MTV, for people to go out and purchase or upgrade the services to get the MTV channel. But again, it was also sort of a promotional tool that would kind of encourage the kids or tweens or whatever to stay up just an hour or so later on Saturday nights to watch maybe an hour or so block of music videos, hoping that the music video they saw a snippet of, a minute and a half to 2.5 minute, almost 3 minute snippet of on KIDD Video, would be shown in its entirety in that music video block. But I'm not going to say the concept wasn't bad. I just think, ironically, they didn't realize what kind of a promotional tool they were becoming for MTV. True, they were also a promotional tool for the artists that were showcased, the songs that were showcased during the series, and the music videos that were showcased during the series. True, they were basically a promotional tool for those as well. I'm not saying they weren't. But overall, I think they just didn't realize how much of a promotional tool KIDD Video became. Again, some positiveness came out of it. Don't get me wrong. I mean, it lasted on Saturday mornings for about 4 years. 2 seasons, 2 years, 2 seasons, and then those 2 seasons rerun up until 87 and into 88, maybe 89 on CBS. But again, I don't think they realized how much of a promotional tool they became. Not just for MTV in a sense, not just for, kids to stay up and watch that hour-long block on Saturday nights of music videos, hoping that the music video they saw a snippet of there would show up there. Not just a promotional tool for the artist and the songs and music videos that were being showcased, but I just don't think overall they realized how much of a promotional tool they were going to be for all of that. And again, I'm not saying it wasn't a good idea. I think it was good. I think it was a great idea. I think they did what they could with it, and that was about it. Again, I think they did what they could with it, and that was about it. Now, again, getting back to the question earlier, could something like that fly today? Well, showcasing music videos in the middle of a show, again, it all depends. But if that show was showcased, let's take Netflix for example, like I mentioned earlier. If Netflix was to say, hey, let's reboot KIDD Video, go the same route and everything, it'd be kind of hard. Because nowadays, like I said, you got all these copyright situations. I don't think they'd be able to really pull it off the way it was originally foreseen and known for. Same could be said for Hulu Plus. If Hulu Plus was to try it, again, they probably have trouble trying to make it as it was. Amazon, same way. You name it. Could Cartoon Network and Disney XD try to get away with it? Maybe. But if Disney XD was to do it, then they would focus mostly on the music videos being snippet in there to be music videos on their artist, their Disney Channel artist, nothing more. Or the music videos based on, centered around certain animated features, nothing more. Could Cartoon Network do it? Absolutely. But they would probably be only able to showcase WB artists in their music videos, and that'd be about it. Because nowadays you've got such a restriction on music videos and stuff. It's like it'd be hard to try to do something like this again. Now, could you play songs from that era, or from this era, or from the 90s, or even the 70s? Could you just play the songs? Could you get the licensing to play the songs for that one episode, even if it's a short snippet? Absolutely. Music video-wise, though, it'd be a totally different story. I mean, why do you think Sing might be a big hit back, when it comes out in December? Because even though it sounds like they're using the actual songs to promote the movie, and in the movie, it may not. How do I put this? It may, like I said, how do I put this? It basically would not be the same if they tried adding music videos in it. I mean, licensing the songs to do karaoke versions or the actual songs themselves to help promote the movie, get the movie over and all that. Okay, fine, no problem. But if you were to say, let's showcase Ride Like the Wind by Christopher Cross while that snail singing it, there would be problems. There would be legal issues. But if you were to, like I say, showcase just the song being karaokeed or pantomimed, or even the actual song itself being sung by a snail, then I guess that's I don't know, it's just confusing. It's just confusing to the point, like, okay, you can license the song, the audio, to be played, but you couldn't license the video to be showcased along with it. That it's kind of like in that direction. But again, could something like it be pulled off today? Maybe, on things like Disney XD and Cartoon Network, but with conditions of it'd have to be Disney Channel, Disney artist, or Disney or music videos based on Disney movies, there would be like the video clips shown during the show, as well as maybe the songs being played during the series. And the same with the Cartoon Network. They would probably have to be WB artists or related WB artists, music videos and songs being played during the series. That'd be the only way Disney XD or Cartoon Network could get away with something like that. But again, could Netflix get away with it? I don't know. It's a slight possibility, but I don't know. Netflix, Hulu Plus, Amazon, those streaming services and no original series, and Netflix is, I guess, fetish, if you will, excuse my language, to want to reboot or revive certain cartoon series and live action series from the past. Again, with this whole copyright system, who's to say? But overall, I will say this about KIDD Video. I know I've used this word a lot, and I do apologize. It was a unique concept, had some good, had some positives, had some, WTF moments. But I'd say if you're interested, if you're a fan of the 80s and you're mostly a fan of MTV, of the 1980s MTV, if you will, if you're a fan of, like I said, the 80s music and MTV in a sense, as well as 80s cartoons, this is the perfect mesh right here. This is the perfect mesh, if you will, for you to take a gander at. Unfortunately, the only bad thing about this is because of all this music, all the music videos that are showcased during this 2-season run of KIDD Video. Unfortunately, it's one of those series that, like Muppet Babies, because they used certain scenes and stuff from movies and stuff and shows. This is one of those one of these animated series from the 80s that will never see the light of day on DVD until this whole copyright situations and licensing situation with all these record labels and stuff is worked out. So, but could you get it on DVD if you go to a place like iOffer or you try to find a torrent for it? Absolutely. As a matter of fact, there's a YouTube channel by Toolbot, which was one of the characters in the series, that has a lot of the episodes. Unfortunately, you may notice that some of the episodes, when you look at the title, when you take a look at the title and the episode that it is, in parentheses, we'll probably have the word edited on it, because when I looked at one of the episodes that had the Janet Jackson music video in it, it only says, right then and there, it says Janet Jackson, and it says the title of her music video and song, and that was it. You didn't see the video. So that's the only thing you'd have to deal with if you want to watch it on the Toolbot YouTube channel. But again, if you do want to get it on DVD, you'll probably have to go to a place like iOffer or find a torrent or somewhere, or even go to Mr. 80s and try to make a deal with him on that. Because unfortunately, an official release will never see the light of day until this whole licensing of music and music videos is worked out with all these record labels. Only then will you probably see a Blu-ray and DVD release of this series. So, but overall, I would say if you're a fan of the 80s music, 80s cartoons, and 80s MTV, this is the perfect mashup for you to watch and see. So let me know what you guys think down below. Comment if you like. Check out Rob the Wonderful's review on it. His most recent re-uploaded review from 2012. Check it out, and I'll talk to you all later.